Hi guys, Jordan from B&B Campers. Just going to do your handover video on your Laika Kreos. It's a Kreos 5009 and based on the Fiat Ducato 2.3. It is an automatic, and we got the Alco weight plate here, so you've got 4.5 ton, and the paint code is 611A, and that is a silver colour because the bodywork there finished in the silver. So we got on the left hand side your washer fluid, power steering fluid, engine coolant and brake fluid. To get to these you need to take this little cap off here, so you just literally undo these little lugs here and then that'll come straight out. Then got your engine oil filler there and your engine oil dipstick just there with the red top. Jump starting the vehicle, you've got the engine battery itself sits under the floor in the cab, so jump starting is a case of putting your positive on this little piece just here, because that's where the positive terminal for jump starting is, under that, and your negative point is this one here, and it does say there only for jump start, so earthing point just here, positive under there basically. So that's for jump starting it. You have also got a little pot down there which I believe is for your automatic transmission, but there you go. Air filter sits inside this box just here. That's about all the sort of standard bits and pieces to run through. Air conditioning, you can see how many grams of gas need to go in there. There you go. Okay, so you've then got your fuel filler point just inside here, so that's diesel obviously, and you will need your ignition key to get into that. The bonnet release is this one just here inside the passenger door, so you do actually have to have the door physically open in order to actually open it up. It's a bit of a safety feature. Other dash things I will go through, or cab things, sorry, I will go through with you on the other side. So hookup, you can see there I've got the hookup plugged in at the moment so that I can show you a few bits working on the inside. You've then got this big locker down here which actually opens up on nice little gas struts. So this locker gives you access to your leisure battery, so that's what that is there, and your charge, or actually I think there's an inverter in there. So yeah, leisure batteries and inverter. You can see that your little jack is in there as well. That's about it for that cupboard there. You've got an external hot and cold water point. Your heating and hot water system, it's an Aldi system, and the sort of the vent for it is just there. You can see quite a lot of condensation building up underneath it, which is completely normal, especially on a cold day like today. So that is normal, you will get that no matter what. The top one here is written on your habitation sheet, but this top one here is out of use, so you don't use that one at all. It's only if you had, from standard, a secondary tank fitted, which this one did. So the freshwater inlet is this one just here at the bottom. So I'll just look underneath, see if I'm missing anything. No. Okay, so I will just open this up actually. So whilst I'm here, good chance to show you, sorry about all the movement, good chance to show you how everything works. So opening that up is as simple as that, so you literally put the key in there, turn it and then push in, so that's locked, unlocked, and then you can just move that around. And then you've got these two locks as well, which is with this key, turn it to where it says to turn it to, and then you'll be able to open them up. So that's how you open both of these rear lockers. There's a huge amount to show you in here really. If I just climb in so I can open that up. Okay, so the water pump is all of this stuff down here. This is all the gubbins for that. There is a little filter next door to it, but the actual pump itself is this part just here. And you've then got your tanks. So one of them will be a waste tank and one of them will be fresh. I can imagine this let's just work that out. So I actually think the fresh tank is this one, and the waste is that one over there, the black one. So to drain out your fresh water, you can drain it directly from here, and I can see that they are actually in their draining position at the moment because you know, after we did the habitation checks, when it's really cold outside, we do drain these systems down. So that's how you drain out your fresh water from those two drains just there. And if I go around to the other side, I can show you your waste drain off as well. So in this little cupboard here, we've got this separate drain here, and so again, simple how to use it. Just turning that little lever there should drain out your water onto the ground, as long as it's, you know, got some in it. But yeah, again, I think you know, because the actual drain is here, so that's where it comes out underneath. When it's in line with the pipe there, that should drain the water out onto the floor. So yeah, so that's all there. That's your drains. So this is your wastewater drain, and then your two fresh drains. So that's all your fresh and wastewater systems in the back. It's nice having it all inside, because a lot of the time, you know, to be fair, you do have to lay underneath, reach underneath and do stuff like that, but this being on the inside is quite nice. Not all vans have them like that. So I'll just close that up. Just bear with me 1 second. Go right round. Okay. So closing these back over, put those back in, and then you would lock the lock in the same way that we unlocked them. At the back, you've got your reversing camera up there. It's a Waco reversing camera, so that's really nice high quality camera system. And you have got mounting points for a bike rack there if you wanted them fitted. Alright, I'm just going to close that over as well. Okay, so the next locker really is your toilet cassette locker. So this is the newer style of toilet cassette locker. So to actually take it out, basically just lift it out. Make sure that this little orange lever here is, so there's a little piece just in here where this sits into, like that. To actually release it, lift up on that, and then the whole thing should come out. Because you've got a SOG unit on here, you need to take this little piece out here and put the bung inside when you go to emptying it out. But basically, once you've got it out, turn this handle round and take the cap off. You drain it out from there, and there's a little yellow button at the back there, or an orange button, which you hold down when you're emptying it. Once you've done that, pour a little bit of your blue fluid into here, swish it around, put the cap back on, and put this piece back on, and push it back. That is as simple as that. Locking this cupboard up, make sure both sides are pushed in, so you get 2 clicks, and then with the same key it did the back doors, and that's locked. The locker underneath here doesn't really have anything in it, to be fair. It's just access to your huge amount of storage. External gas point, so this is a bullfinch fitting, which the fitting is for it inside. So you basically put the fitting in there and turn it. And then we've got your gas bottles in here. So obviously Gaslow refillable gas bottles. I believe these are 11 kilo bottles. They might be 13s, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure they're 11s. Okay, so to turn these on, we go anti-clockwise around to the left, so that turns it on, and then clockwise around to the right, turns them off. You need to turn these off before you start driving, and when you first turn them back on again, make sure that you press this little green button in for a few seconds just to allow the gas to come through, because it's basically just a little pressure, like a little valve. So turn the bottles on, press the button in, and that will allow the gas to go through to the vehicle. Refilling is from that point just there, and you can get that at any sort of decent fuel station, petrol station. So that is what that is there. It does tell you what that little thing is there as well. So it's a crash sensor. So essentially, if you crashed, that little thing there should stop the gas from pumping into the vehicle. But if you just turn the bottles off before you start driving, you don't have to worry about that anyway. but that's what that's for. In the cab, got a really high spec in the cab itself. So you've got a Pioneer head unit there, so it's doubled in size. So that's all there if you want to use that. Your cruise control lever is this one just here, so you can turn it on. I think one of them's normally a speed limiter and the other one's actually cruise control, but I'm not, to be completely honest, I've never actually used one of these on here because it's quite a rare thing to have. Front parking sensors off this little switch just here. Your electric adjusting mirrors, so you just basically select which mirror you want to move and then use this as like a joystick to get it to move around. The automatic gearbox is really simple to use, so you quite literally, where it is now, it's up in neutral, straight down puts you into reverse, and lifting it up and allowing it to go over to the left puts you in automatic. If you want to switch it over to manual mode, press over to the left just the once, and then you'll be able to select through the gears, either down gears or up gears. When you come into a stop, just put it back up to neutral and then put your handbrake on, and that'll basically be you in park. You've obviously got your air conditioning just working from this center section. This is your actual main aircon switch on and off. Extra traction from this button just here, and something to do with the downhill cruise control things. It's just all the, basically all of the extras you can get, in all honesty, from the factory. So hazard lights work from there. You can lock and unlock the cab from here, and that's about it really. If you put your ignition on and your habitation step is out, you'll get a noise and a light down here, but you can actually pull the step in from this button as well. So if you do realize that you've gone to start the engine up and your step's still out, if you just press this button down here, it will put the step in for you, so you don't have to get up and go all the way around and do it manually. So that's what that is there. Okay, so it's quite a bit warmer in here because I've got the heating on. So your main control panel up here, in fact I will just show you one thing first. You've got a gas, sorry, what's up with my voice today? Right, let's bring the chair a bit further forwards. So you've got a battery isolator. So down here you've got this little lever here, so when you turn that off, this will then become loose and you can take this key completely out. So it's pretty simple how it actually works. Turning that off basically just isolates anything from the leisure battery side of things. So when I first came into the vehicle, because we'd done the habitation check and turned everything off and drained it all out, the battery isolator there was off. So when I came in, there was no power, and then so in order to do anything at all, I had to turn that on. So that's on there now. Underneath that, you've got, if I can do it, you've got a fuse board here. It does tell you what each of those fuses does, but basically it's just a 12-volt fuse for anything 12-volt in the vehicle. But that's what that is down there, just in case you wondered. But yeah, so that's where your battery isolator is. You've probably seen in the pictures or online, but down here, these two are basically just storage lockers. So you can lift them up and then fill them up with things. It's like a double skinned vehicle, so loads of space for storage even underneath your feet. So the actual main control panel, let me just see if I can turn that light off up there. Okay, so the main control panel itself, when you come into the vehicle, turning it on is as simple as turning that button on and off there. Okay, so when I do that, you'll see everything will come on. So straight away it tells us a few things. It tells us the time, the date, temperature outside, temperature inside, and the fact that we've got the hookup plugged in. Okay, so that's what all of that stuff there means. You've then got in, so that turns your inside lights on, and then you'll be able to go on here and go through and turn all of your lights on. So that's how you switch the internal lights on. External lights, so your awning light basically is that one there. So you've got in and out lights on. Check just here, so when you press that, it will come up with all of your levels. So freshwater, empty. Wastewater, they are empty, but maybe only because I just turned that dial back there, it thinks it's full, but it's not. All right, so everything is empty. Your leisure battery voltage just there is 13.9. Engine battery voltage is 14. They're just dipping between the two. So essentially what that means is, because any sort of normal resting battery rate is roughly 12.5 volts. When there's a hookup plugged in, the charger is automatically on, and it's actually charging up both engine and leisure. So that's why they're both on 14 and both on the exact same voltage. So that's what that is. You then got this switch just here, which is for your water pump. Now I'm not going to turn that on because I know for a fact that there's no water in the tank. So if I turn the water pump on, all that will happen is it will just run and run and run and never turn off. The reason for that is the water pump that you got in this vehicle works on pressure. So it's a pressurized pump. So essentially it will only ever turn off once it gets to its desired pressure. And so if there's a big leak somewhere, the pump will not turn off. If there's not enough water in the tank, the pump won't turn off. All right. So because I know there's no water in the tank at the moment, there's not even any point in me turning it on, but that is what that switch is for. Aux basically gives you power to a lot of different things. Sometimes lights and ignition and stuff like that sometimes works from that. Sometimes it just works off the normal 12 volt. But basically, if you're going to come into the vehicle and use a bit of everything, just turn your aux switch on. And then the last one there is just for setting your time and things like that. All right, so in, out lights and aux, and then you'll have access to absolutely everything that works on 12 volt. So that's your control panel there. Like I said, if you want to turn it off, just basically press the on and off button there in the middle. The bed comes up and down really, really easily. So if I just show you that working, I'll press the button properly. Like that. And then when it gets to this height here, the ladder will fit onto there and reach the floor properly. You've got a little thing up there. I don't know if you can see it properly, but it says guard on it. And basically, when the bed gets up to its proper height, it touches onto that, and that's what stops it. So it won't go too far. So you just basically hold your finger on it until it stops. There you go, and that's it. So you've got various switches around for various lights. So those ones just there, for example. You've also got these ones just down here. If I turn those on there, look, you do actually get nice blue coloured ones. So you can leave these ones just with the blue or with the light as well. So there's so much sort of variation that you can choose in this vehicle. All sorts of different lights all over the place. This little bit here is quite nice as well because it does actually select lights in the back end as well. So WC, so that's your light in your bathroom. That's this little strip light here, lights over there, and all the lights above the cupboards in the back. So that's all really quite nice. I will get onto the Audi heating system thing in a minute. Up in this little cupboard here above the fridge, you've got a solar controller. So that is a really nice Victron solar controller. Victron is probably the brand of the solar panel as well. And your TV aerial booster. So there's a little on and off switch here at the back. So I'm going to leave it off for the moment because I've only just turned it on to show you it working. But yeah, basically that should be linked up to all of the aerial sockets that the TVs are plugged into around the vehicle. So I'd imagine there's probably one wired up to that as well. Loads of paperwork in this box just here. That's where we just sort of put all of our paperwork for all the vehicles into there, and various kind of bits and pieces, just spare bits and pieces really that we've left in there. Okay, so the heating and hot water system, like I said, it's an Audi system, and what that means is it's a wet central heating system, much like in a house. So any other usual more usual heating system in a motorhome, like the combi boilers and things like that, they're all great, but they work just literally with a gas flame or so a heater and blown air. So it just basically pumps around blown air, which again is fine and works really, really well. But the Audi systems usually are for the bigger motorhomes like this one, and the way that it works is it basically heats up in the corner where I showed you where the gas the vent was on the outside. There is a big gas flame in there, and essentially what happens is there's a coolant system in the vehicle which has various radiators all over the place. So there's a radiator under these little metal grates here. There'll be a radiator behind this seat here because I can feel really, really warm air coming out from down there. There'll be a radiator in the bathroom, I should imagine. Yeah, so you can see where any of these little cutouts are in the wood. There's basically a little radiator behind one, each of those. So there will be radiators tucked up behind the corners of the bed. So anywhere these gaps are, there's radiators. And so it heats up the water, and the water gets pumped around to the radiators. Instead of heating up and then just blowing air through it, it heats up physical water and it pumps around to the vehicle, just like radiators at home. So the great thing about that is the fact that when you turn off gas blown air heating, it basically just cools down and stops straight away. Whereas if you turn this on, so if I turn this Audi heating off now, so it's 7 degrees inside the vehicle right now, but if I turned that heating off, it would carry on getting hotter for, you know, a fair amount of time, because that hot water has to actually cool down first. So in other words, it might take a little bit longer for the van to actually warm up, but it will stay warmer for for way longer than standard blown air heating. That being said, I'll run you through how it works. So turning it on is just literally turning that switch on just there. Press the menu button and it brings you up this little sort of list here. So you've got a gas flame symbol down here, which basically just says yes or no to using the gas. The next one up is the electric symbol, so it just says yes or no to the electric. So the electric will only work when your hookup's plugged in, and at the moment I do have the hookup plugged in, so I'm going to turn that on, and I've got it on 1 kilowatt. I don't want to go any higher than 2 kilowatt because the power that it uses is just a bit too much. It will go to 3 kilowatt, but like I said, usually if you put it on 3 kilowatt, it will draw about 12 amps, and to be honest, that's kind of like ridiculous for a motorhome, because sometimes you could be plugged in to a 10 amp pole at a campsite, and then if you put it on 3 kilowatts, it's going to draw 12 amps and just blow the fuse, usually outside on the pole that you're plugged into. So 2 kilowatt is fine. That's more than enough. I would personally just keep it on 1 if I was you, but it's totally up to you. The next one up is if you want hot water. So at the moment I can't use the hot water because there's no water in the tank. I know for a fact that there's not going to be any water in the boiler either. So I can't use the hot water, which is why I've turned it all the way down so there's nothing on here. I could go up 1 or 2 and that would basically just give me hot water, but I don't want to do that. And the last one at the top is basically just setting the temperature that you want the van to be on the inside. So I've set it to 28 degrees. I know that's a little bit, that's a bit of an exaggeration. It's never going to get to 28 degrees in here, really. Well, it might do, but it's about, it's 4 degrees outside, so I very much doubt that it'll actually get to 28 inside here, but it will just carry on going. It'll keep on heating up until it gets there. All right, so that's what that is. So you basically just set your temperature at the top, choose gas or electric or both, and if you wanted hot water, just press up on there. And that is honestly it. That is that's how you use the Audi system. The only other thing that you need to know about the Audi systems is that you do need to keep on top of every once in a while it will need servicing. So there's, like I said, there's a coolant system. I didn't do the habitation check on this one, so I'm not exactly sure where that is, but basically if you took it to any sort of dealer, we could probably do it. There's an Audi coolant reservoir which I think it's every 5 years needs draining out and replacing, but it's just like doing a coolant flush on a car. It's no different or any more difficult. So there you go, that's that. So that's your Audi control panel and your main control panel. So the fridge, it's a Dometic fridge, and it's one of the stack style fridges, so it's the nice tall fridge with the freezer compartment at the top. So I've had this fridge on for about 40 minutes now on the mains. Okay, and you know that because it's got this little blue symbol here lighting up the mains symbol. The freezer is already starting to get a little bit cold. It is definitely not freezing inside there just yet. What I've heard is, well, from our habitation engineer, is that these fridges can take about 3 to 4 hours to actually get completely cold, especially if you've got stuff inside the fridge to actually get cold as well. So if you imagine if you had a fridge at home, you know, if you got a brand new fridge at home and plugged it in for the first time, it's not going to be cold in 20 minutes. You know, it will take a few hours. So that's how this works. So 3 or 4 hours to get this fridge cold. And the only two ways that the fridge will get cold by itself is either the mains or the gas. So at the moment, I've got the mains cable plugged in, so I can use it on the mains. If I didn't have a mains cable plugged in, but I did have the gas switched on, I would choose gas. The gas flame will light itself up. There you go. So that's lit now. And it will basically just carry on going at the back there until this is cool enough to whatever temperature you set it to, which is this part here. So you just basically choose 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Okay, so that is how it works. If you pre-cool the fridge before you leave, if you're going to go on holiday tomorrow morning, I might recommend you light it up on gas or choose the mains electric the night before you go away, because you need to pre-cool the fridge before you start driving and drive off. So the actual sort of way, or the way that you should keep these cold is, when you're driving anyway, you need to select this 12 volt one here. So when I press that, we'll get a fault code come up. Red lights start flashing here and here. And basically what that means is there's no 12 volt power being sent to this fridge right now, or not to the 12 volt element anyway. So let me just turn that off. So let me just explain that. I'll put it back on the mains for now. So when you start the engine up, you've got the alternator which charges up the engine battery, like any car or any van does. You've then also got something called a split relay or a split charger, which splits that power from the alternator to the engine battery through to the alternator, through to the leisure battery down here, so that the leisure battery is being charged up by the engine, and it also sends a wire over here to the fridge, so that when you're driving, you can select the 12 volt one here and basically keep the fridge cold via the engine. All right, but the reason you have to pre-cool it is because that one there won't get the fridge cold by itself. So you need to pre-cool the fridge either via the mains or the gas, and then switch over to that one there when you're driving. And that is it. Turn it off. Or press and hold the button there. Right. So when once you've done that, you can go ahead and you can forget about that basically. You can also, if I just show you, actually I forgot about that. You can also press the A. A means automatic, and basically it will select whatever energy it thinks is the most efficient. So at the moment, because I've got the hookup plugged in, it's quite right, it's chosen hookup because that is the most efficient way to cool it down. If I didn't have the hookup plugged in, it would automatically choose gas. If I started the engine up, it should switch over to 12 volts. So you can leave it on that one if you want to, it's up to you. Okay, so cooker, right, let me just explain one thing to you. So down here in this little slide out drawer, we've got these 3 gas isolator taps. If I have a look on the symbols, so the bottom one is your fridge, middle one is your boiler, and the top one is this cooker system here. So if you wanted to isolate the gas from any of those, just basically turn them 90 degrees so they're facing upright, and that will isolate the gas. You only need to do that. If you think there's a problem with one of the gas appliances. You do not need to do that every time you get out of the vehicle. You know, like I said, it's only when you think there's an actual problem with the van. More bits and bobs down there. Okay, so the 4-burner hob here, like I said, you've got your ignition here, and basically press on that whilst you push and turn whichever burner you want to light up. You then also got grill, push in to the right, and oven, push in and round to the left. So the grill will light up from the top, oven from down the back. All right, so that is as simple as it gets there, really. Extractor fan sucks in through here and blows out underneath that, and your light switch there. So that's all there and working. Your TV aerial is this one just here. So if you want to basically put that up and move it around, loosen off this little thing here, and then you'll be able to push it up and turn it around. So it's called a tilt and turn aerial, and it is just as simple as it sounds, really. When you get to a campsite, if you can't quite work out where it needs to be, if you have a little look around you and see if you can marry up to anybody else's one, it should be pointing in the right direction. So just basically try and copy everyone else. Right, so that is that. The shower. Now obviously, you know, if you want to use this shower, you're going to need to have the hot water on and working, because as you can probably imagine, it does use hot water. So you will need water in the tank and to have used that hot water section on the Audi system over there for this to work. But you can see how nice the lights are in here. Really, really nice, smart looking shower room. Not all motorhomes have a separate shower either, so it's nice to have that completely separate. Yeah, pretty self-explanatory in here, really. I don't think I need to show you much, apart from the fact that you've got the really, really nice skylight up here. So if we open this up, normally that would be enough to draw the sort of condensated air out when you're having a shower anyway, but you have also got the fan there as well. So if it gets a little bit too much, you can just put the fan on there. It'll blow in and blow out, so you need to work out which one's which, but you know, it won't take much to work that out. You can feel it. So that's that. Don't over tighten that too much, because they are quite brittle. If you go crazy on it, they will just break off in your hand, so just be careful not to over tighten that. The toilet, there's not a huge amount to show you in here, if I'm completely honest. It's the same in all the bathrooms, really. It's normally quite self-explanatory. This is just a hot and cold tap, as you can imagine. Storage and stuff up there. Okay, the only thing I do want to show you is the actual toilet. So the toilet itself, again, is the newer style. So open the flap there, opens the flap just there, and then allows anything that's in the bowl to go into the cassette, which we can take out from outside, which I showed you. Close that back over, and then to actually get the flush fluid to pump around, press the button just there and it will pump around the fluid. So this is a fresh water flush, so at the moment it's not going to do anything at all because there's no fresh water in the tank. So you do need to make sure that there's some fresh water. You know, really, if you want to use the van at all, you need to have some fresh water in the tank. We've just drained them all out because it's so cold. We don't want any of the water freezing, basically. In the winter months, it is really important to drain all your water out, because if anything kind of, if you find yourself with pipes that are just full of water and then you leave the van and it all freezes up, you'll start getting leaks everywhere. And it happens in houses as well, but much more common to happen in a motorhome because all the pipes and things are plastic. You know, there's no sort of soldered fittings or anything like that in a motorhome because of all the movement. So when if you allow water to freeze up inside stuff, you do get leaks. It's not the end of the world because, plastic fittings are easy to fix, but, it's a bit of a pain. So just make sure that you drain it out in the winter if you're not going to use it. If you are going to be in here using it, it really doesn't matter because you're going to be keeping it warm enough not to freeze anyway. But that's that. In the back, we've got a gas detector alarm there and another TV aerial point with mains and 12-volt power. Inside here you've got a safe, so if you wanted to use that you can do. Loads of storage inside here, absolutely loads. And inside there as well. I think that's about it really. I don't know, there's not a huge amount more to show you. Yeah. Okay, so main things when you want to leave the vehicle, or if you want to start the vehicle up and start driving off, make sure that your gas is switched off in the cupboard out there. Make sure that all of your glass appliances and things like that are down, so make sure that's down because that will break on you if you don't. Make sure your skylights are down and locked up, windows, etc. And really, just, you know, the main thing, to be fair, is getting some tea towels and non-slip mats and all that sort of stuff, because even though, you know, Laika is one of the very, very best brands, their build quality is fantastic, but every motorhome, doesn't matter what it is noisy when you drive. So having something to go underneath here, something to go in the grill pan, stuff like that, just stops any of those rattles, which can be really quite annoying. Obviously we get used to it because we drive them every day, but you know, it is definitely worth getting some stuff like that. Otherwise, that's about it really. If there's anything you think I've missed out or anything you want going through again, just let us know. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.